Salam and hello warga-warga YouTube. I am Haida Yusof. YouTube channel sekarang ni macam biskut je, kejap ada, kejap tak ada, and it's been almost 10 months, almost a year since I actually upload anything. So I apologize kepada yang dah subscribe tetapi tak ada content langsung. But kepada yang baru jumpa Haida punya YouTube channel, I'd like to say welcome. So this time Haida nak gunakan this opportunity to highlight this in an episode where I'm going to offer a commentary about what I have witnessed during Kuala Lumpur Fashion Week, then all the designers yang showcase, and kita akan buat kupasan kita mengenai what I have seen so far during that showcase last month. Just a short background, Haida dah 13 tahun berkecimpung dalam bidang seni Malaysia. Pendidikan wise, I had a degree dalam public relations, lepas tu dapat somehow masuk ke dalam bidang fashion events where I did a lot of amazing events all around the world, collaborated dengan jenama-jenama besar macam Formula 1 and also the Olympics. And after doing all these fashion shows, somehow I got into magazine, punya world. I was a fashion stylist for magazines macam Cleo and Harper's Bazaar, and then I went to become an e-zine punya editor di Malaysia where I get to cover all the big fashion shows all around the world. Lepas tu, I managed to become a freelance stylist where I was able to do a lot more things, and of course that's where the money is. I was able to style a lot of big celebrities kat Malaysia. I did editorials, advertorials, music videos, workshops, macam-macam lagi lah. So because of this time yang Haida ada in the scene kat Malaysia, I've noticed one thing, and that is that there are not a lot of things being discussed secara terbuka mengenai the practices that some designers, some stylists or some editors or whatever that had been doing for the past years since fashion is started in Malaysia that have left unspoken or unsaid. Setengah pihak individual perlu diberi cerminan about what they are doing wrong, ataupun mungkin dia rasa benda ni dah dinormalisasikan lama sangat that it becomes part and parcel of the scene. Dia rasa kita ni sebenarnya ada banyak potensi to become the best, and it has proven with some of the big designers yang local yang dah make a scene or a name for themselves out there, macam Rizman Ruzaini, Jimmy Choo, Self-Portrait, Motoguo. There are spaces for us to grow sebenarnya, tetapi because of a few factors masyarakat on how dia memperlekehkan seni in our livelihoods, ataupun how some seniors ataupun some people yang ada banyak sangat kuasa untuk memegang how fashion is being dictated dalam scene kita, yang perlu diberi accountability juga dari segi kebudayaan juga with how people think. Kalau kita nak kritik tu sebenarnya macam tak bagus, dengki, we kind of weaponize tu balik untuk stop people from actually talking about benda-benda yang betul. This is kind of like a third party perspective for these individuals, for me to kind of highlight it out. Kalau berdasarkan apa yang Haida nampak, apa yang Haida rasa macam tak best, I will make a research about it and talk about it. And perhaps dengan this kind of approach, dengan membuka gelanggang kritik atau kupasan atau commentary secara terbukanya, it's going to also unite balik dengan all of the other of my friends, kawan-kawan industri yang juga membuat benda yang sama, so that kita jadi lagi power lah, that we can kind of like police this kind of environment. So before we talk about the designers yang showcase dekat Kuala Lumpur Fashion Week, I want to talk a little bit about Kuala Lumpur Fashion Week itself, kan? So it is the most sought after fashion event of the year. Walaupun setahun sekali, it is such a major event every August. Haida suka gila because Haida dapat to experience and see what kind of collections yang all of the new designers or old designers come up with. I get to meet and rub shoulders dengan kawan-kawan industri lama, kawan-kawan stylist ataupun kawan-kawan pereka lama ataupun baru, get to know them, network dengan diorang, touch base dengan diorang apa yang diorang buat baru ni. And last but not least, of course, is I get to wear all these beautiful clothes, kita peacock sikit kat depan the event punya venue semua. It's fun. It's a lot of fun and I love it. Based on all of these experiences of attending Fashion Week, of course, Haida dapat buat comparison notes on, what needs to be improved, and Haida rasa what is like amazing, apa semua. But let's talk about this year. And this year, I really, really have to highlight how that they finally did it dekat dalam tent. And this is how I have experienced Fashion Weeks. The best Fashion Weeks are always done in a tent. Singapore Fashion Week last time pun diorang buat dekat dalam kemah putih ni. Dubai Fashion Week pun buat dekat dalam kemah, and I've attended like I think 4 of those yang actually did it in a tent. And I like that everything is in one place, because when they did it last year, we're going to all these different hotel locations semua, rasa just rabut, KL traffic is legendary. So for them to do it in this tent, it's easier for us to pick up and keep up with the slots of the shows and designers yang tunjukkan. And plus the background of the Twin Towers, come on, it's such a beautiful setup for me during the National Month juga. I don't really like how the tent punya arrangement when it's raining, and in Malaysia it rains pretty much all the time. Having to line up in this setup and kena bawa payung satu-satu masuk tu was a little bit of a weird one. I think they should perhaps extend your punya canopy a bit to make it easier for guests to stand in before they orang register masuk to the tent lah. Satu lagi nak highlight are the seats. Now, seats for me are very important. Sometimes I can be thrown on the front row, sometimes I can be thrown at the back row, depending on the amount of guests that attend to some particular shows lah. Haida rasa, I think it's really best kalau dia orang buat this bench tiered seating macam Haida nampak dekat Dubai Fashion Week. It's because that coverage wise, this is a great strategy for anyone untuk dapatkan semua kind of coverage based on this kind of like arrangement lah. Kalau kita buat this banquet chairs punya kind of like style, Haida rasa quite claustrophobic juga, because it's kind of like squishing each of the guests very closely to each other. And kalau Haida tercampak dekat second row ke, memang kalau Haida tangkap video tak nampak apa-apa. Haida rasa rugi when you are having a fashion show, you want to war-warkan these collections to as many mobile phones, as many recording punya videos as possible kan. I wish that they would hopefully do this or consider this, but this is just my opinion as someone yang memang suka record and post my content, that they will consider this in the next year, hopefully. I have to mention about the lack of participation of some of the bigger brands dekat Malaysia yang Haida memang respect lama, yang Haida rasa they are so power as a designer, tetapi tak menonjolkan koleksi diorang in any fashion weeks in Malaysia. Now, before I come to this other point, I want to share you a screenshot of a very simplified meaning of what Fashion Week is sebenarnya, untuk apa. So this is it. This is from Wikipedia, paling simple. So if you read this, it says, Fashion Week is a week-long fashion industry event where fashion designers, brands or houses display their latest collections and runway fashion shows to buyers and the media, which influences upcoming fashion trends for the current and approaching seasons. Now, based on that fact itself, Haida rasa the focus has been given way too much over the celebrity culture of it all, rather than the designer part of it. Focus should be given to the designers, because technically when you talk about Fashion Week, kita nak menjual baju-baju kepada the right people. Based on my experience of attending Fashion Week in London and as well as Dubai and New York and all these other places, whenever they produce a show, right after the show tu, diorang akan diberikan satu space where they can buka a showroom, and they will have meetings lined up with all the big buyers, so that buyers ni boleh beli baju-baju diorang letak dalam Harvey Nichols ke, Bloomingdale's ke, letak dalam Metro Jaya ke apa ke semua. And that is really the idea of what Fashion Week is all about. Bukanlah untuk attend fashion show untuk nampak cantik sahaja. Those are just a persembahan to the masses, exposure untuk menunjukkan how glamorous the fashion scene is. It's part of the prestige package of doing a fashion week lah. So as much as I love seeing beautiful people in fashion weeks, I rasa sangat kesian sebab some of these big established designers, even some of the upcoming ones juga, diorang rasa macam it's so expensive untuk what they showcase, and all I'm doing is just menunjukkan baju, which probably will not translate back to sales sangat, at least directly to the masses, to the right kind of people. And I'm pretty sure that they're probably working on this at some point, because they've done it before. Why not bring it back again kan? By introducing this kind of format the way it's intended to be, kita akan attract balik all the bigger designers, because sekarang ni what the young designers are only seeing are only a select few of designers yang dah veteran. Haida rasa kalau kita pelbagaikan lagi the participation from other big designers juga, so that they can see kepelbagaian in the scene. So let's hope that they bring back this format. Let's go on to talking about the designers. I'm going to make this commentary on a kesimpulan punya form because I have made my research based on that, based on feedback yang Haida gather from industry creatives, from insiders yang attend the other shows. So it's also easier for me lah because banyak gila kot designers yang showcase during Kuala Fashion Week and I cannot physically and individually review each one of them because I would prefer to attend them daripada just, talking about them individually from afar lah. And satu lagi, there aren't a lot of press materials about them. No show notes, no press releases, no even catwalk pictures on their IG pun tak ada. I don't even know that they did a collection with Kuala Fashion Week until I went to the Kuala Fashion Week in their website to find out that they've actually done a show there. So it's harder for me to even have a look at them and make my own unique critique about one of them. So another way I want to present my points is to base my judgment or critique based on these 4 criteria yang saya rasa sangat penting that make them become good, commendable, great designers. So they have to showcase a good sense of originality, individuality, creativity, and wearability in their designs because this is Kuala Fashion Week ready to wear. It has to be wearable. It's obviously have to be creative to represent themselves as a designer, and individuality and originality goes without saying. It has to be unique to their creative punya vision. Now that I've laid that all down, let's start with the very, very, very sticky topic of originality. Okay, where do I start about originality and individuality? There are great designers yang tunjukkan really interesting original ideas on the catwalk that I will highlight later, but let's talk about those who think that this is something quite normal because it has been normalized for so many years, not just through fashion entrepreneurs yang somehow take inspiration from the big brands and sell it to the mass market, but unfortunately this kind of mindset dah also terterak masuk to the big designers juga. If you look at the stats of some of the best luxury brands in the world, you already know the culprits. You know the Loewe, Miu Miu, Dior, Balenciaga. So all of these brand names, kalau tengok, they are the forefront of trends right now. So whatever they're coming out with stuff, you akan nampak it trickle down to the mass fashion brands lah. Because this is what's being sold, right? In the masses. And some people think that they have to tap into these trends semata-mata to be able to sell their stuff. But there's nothing wrong with following trends. I worked in a magazine before and my job is to actually report on trends that are happening. But that does not mean that it won't translate to sales. Kalau tak, what's to say about brands macam Marni, Jill Sander, Dries Van Noten or Maison Margiela that didn't necessarily fit into the trend punya list, but somehow are still selling stuff because their stuff is unique. Remember, you have customers yang semata-mata nak follow trends saja to make themselves appear fashionable, and there are also people who do not follow trends. They want to buy one of these interesting designer pieces because it makes them unique as individuals, and they still make billions and millions of dollars in sales. So I not try to shake off this mindset yang a lot of Malaysians seem to have. I even get feedback from this on my threads saying that it's hard for them to actually be creative in their creative direction of how they design a collection because diorang rasa Malaysians takkan support them or buy them because it's not something that's trending in the market. If you think your customers macam tu, Malaysians only buy benda yang trending because that's what makes money, then you punya mindset tu sebenarnya tertutup. Because first off, you're also kind of contributing to the problem where you're creating one-dimensional design saja that masalahnya customer pun macam, oh ada design ni je and ni je yang you dictate to be considered as fashionable. Why don't be a designer yang create something different, yang create a different type of trend? This is why Malaysia is not yet a trend-making country. We are trend followers country because of the environment yang kita orang fikir, kita orang perlu ikut what the masses want, what the customers want sahaja to sell stuff. Ada rasa ni pun macam limitkan the creative punya diversity in Malaysia. Sometimes when I go back to Malaysia, when I want to find something unique, I ended up having to go with the smaller designers, which are great, which I hope that diorang betul-betul boleh make a lot of money from selling what they needed to sell, because all the big names semua membuat benda-benda yang Haida boleh jumpa kat Dior or Miu Miu or Loewe or Gucci. And what's the point of me buying that at that kind of price when I can go directly to the source? I can actually buy a proper Gucci, buy a proper Dior. I'd rather support designers who are experimenting and fail rather than designers yang ikut je whatever trends are saying, even though they're doing it so well, so perfect and eloquent and refined, despite having all of these resources, but still come up with benda yang I dah nampak kat tempat lain. I would like to be inspired. I would want to see Malaysians being presented at a light that makes me so proud, because also adding into the fact that I've had heard feedback from some of the international media people yang actually datang to Kuala Fashion Week to cover some of the shows, and I would say that their feedback about our collections and our designers are not really favorable to even spoken here to you guys about. Remember, when you put yourself out there, especially if you call yourself as established designers, you are putting yourself, at the forefront as a Malaysian designer. You're not just no longer becoming an entrepreneur. You are becoming someone that represents something very unique to the Malaysian punya identity. And yes, ada Malaysian designers yang dah nampak ke Fashion Week that truly make me feel like, there's hope and, they're amazing. So contohnya, especially the young designers yang perlu di-highlightkan di sini, the stuff that they come out, like from Uzair, from Mashadi, and Ghost Boy, and, whatever that they come up with is so unique to their brand. Even for young designers yang muda-muda lagi, diorang dah boleh tap into that kind of sense of identity is amazing. But the storytelling, the way that they innovate dengan all this element that's different, especially, for example, the Nusantara punya element that I've seen a few brands are doing, I'm so happy that they've started to see all of the other cultural values, all of the inspiration yang bersepah-sepah ada dekat Malaysia ni, that is untapped. I hope more designers actually take the risiko to find all of these inspiration yang banyak ada dekat Malaysia ni to put back into their collection. So props to all these designers yang really celebrate their originality as a brand and sticking true to their brand, especially some of the established ones juga. Now let's talk about wearability, and I'm going to select all these other things juga lah, obviously. So wearability is very important because when you showcase you punya collection in Kuala Lumpur Fashion Week ready to wear, it means that they are ready to dipakaikan lah. So ada designer yang I dah nampak that try to showcase a bit too much, maybe above diorang punya credibility as really good designers. Well, masalahnya when people think that they wanted to showcase diorang punya ketereran lah, because this is, after all, social media punya zaman. Everyone wants to make things viral, everyone wants to make everything bigger, better, bolder, but they forget that whenever they want to produce these pieces, it looks so cheap because kaya dah tengok dia punya jahitan ke, kain yang orang guna ke, how it's placed on the models, that's so ill-fitting. It actually makan balik designer tu punya niat of showcasing the best thing that they can do for their brand. Contoh yang Haida nak letak in front that's showcasing a good way of being creative and also make it be wearable is like Zaini Zulkifli, which came out with this interesting technology mixed with fashion punya approach of doing things. Two pieces I ada nampak lah on the IG that was really interesting is when they did this mechanism that appeared to look like a wave, and when the model pakai tak nampak kekok because it actually is a wearable piece of technology, and that is beautiful. The niat tu dah sampai because you can see the details and thought that they put into creating and crafting this mechanism into the baju, because it is such a good talking piece and somehow people don't really talk about it too much. I mean, what a waste. It should be spoken because Haida rasa the way that blended in with the individuality of the Zaimi Zulkifli brand being shown in there is, combined with the creativity and how wearable this baju is. I think that's the right way of showcasing you punya talent as a designer. Because sometimes, people not add all of this extra gimmick. Haida rasa baik you just focus on creating good garments, wearable garments. I want to see myself wearing it. If it's a Kuala Lumpur Fashion Week avant-garde or Kuala Lumpur Fashion Week macam special segment where they have to show upcycle punya stuff ke, becoming a bit haute couture ke, then I get it if you want to showcase your pieces kat situ. But remember, the workmanship, the quality of the stuff you nak sampai kat luar has to make sense. It has to be wearable and has to also provide like a type of statement yang berkenaan. One brilliant example yang I dah nampak this season is obviously Bahati. Bahati did so well in producing an entire showcase altogether. It was a better collection compared to apa yang I dah nampak last year. The kind of pieces yang I dah nampak keluar this year are a lot more better made and a lot more like I can see a lot of people actually wearing these pieces. Even for me, walaupun I don't really think I'm a Bahati person, but I can see myself becoming a Bahati person because it's actually very inspiring to see how they subvert certain things, certain concepts, especially for them is the Malaysiana punya concept into their collection. I like this creativity being showcased there, especially tapping into something that is very new compared to how other people are seeing the Malaysiana punya aesthetic to be considered as, because sometimes when people think Malaysiana, they only think of the Melayu side of things, but Berhati somehow see the bigger picture, see the multiculturalism aspect of it, and imbued it into that collection. And tak payah cakap lah about their production. Haida rasa sebenarnya diorang punya strength dulu is the way that they market their stuff, is the way that they create the storytelling. This year, everything is so great. Compared to last year, Haida rasa there's a bit too much noise on creating this unnecessary looks to make things went viral. But this year, if they did went viral, and they should went viral for all the right reasons. I love seeing that there are young designers who understand the importance of creating a unique storyline to go with your baju. But remember lah, you know, at the end of the day, it's about what you produce out there, clothing wise, and the show production of things, the penceritaan of the things actually added an additional value to the collection. Okay, I've present all those 4 criteria that Haida rasa make a good or great designer, but there's also the importance of putting in the side note Haida nak add in, which is the PR side of things lah. Kebanyakan masanya Haida go to these shows, especially the young designers lah, and some of the major ones juga, diorang tak fikir about diorang punya kesinambungan, the continuity of the storyline of their brand. Remember, Kompo Fashion Week ni setahun sekali, so diorang sometimes melebihkan the show aspect of it, how to keep the buyers coming to them, how to sell their stuff to the masses, how to make sure that the media keep on talking about them, and benda ni semua merangkumi banyak aspect actually. So first off is of course the lack of press materials in shows. If you go to major shows overseas, or even just any fashion shows overseas, diorang selalu ada a small note or a piece of paper that talks about their brand a little bit, and paling important also talk about the theme of their collection. So this serves as a material for the media, members of the media, to make proper reporting, make proper trend report, and also for buyers to also probably boleh scan and go to see your catalog ke, so that diorang ada macam this like information access to learn about your brand, and to also membelilah barang-barang you. They can fall in love with it, they can learn more about what you think as a designer. It makes it a bit more easier for them to reach out to you and remember you in the future. Satu lagi juga, seating hierarchy. This is so important. I've seen so many instances and incidents during KLFW di mana a lot of members in the media memang mengamuk, and some VVIPs juga belah from the show because of how they completely don't think about them. Remember, kepentingan adalah perlu diberi kepada the buyers, to the media people, sometimes VIP guests yang actually membeli barang-barang korang, and maybe to help boost up korang punya awareness, influencers and celebrities. Now, influencers and celebrities juga korang perlulah call the right ones, because banyak je orang ni, they just want to go there to peacock. Peacock is one thing because they're beautiful people, they're interesting people, personalities yang tolong menjual korang punya barang, but make sure that they actually post their stuff on IG, actually talk about you, believe in your brand. Dia rasa rugi gila korang ada tap into friends ataupun celebrities yang mungkin korang bayar for appearance ke apa ke, to go to your show, and all they do is just tangkap baju diorang je. They don't even talk about the brand, and maybe adalah dekat dalam IG story 1-2 post and then hilang. So I really am grateful for some celebrities. Contohnya I can give one is Sharifah Sakina, with how she talks about the designers that she believed in. Macam she's a big fan of Berhati, and I can see how she support them, she attends the show, she actually talks about them, and I think that more celebrities and influencers should kind of go through this route juga. And of course, like post show materials, lookbooks ke, or at least pictures on your IG. I couldn't really understand who you are as a designer because I don't know your storyline, because you just letakkan koleksi you maybe do a beautiful presentation video at the back of the LED screen to mungkin memberikan sedikit penceritaan about your brand, but I have no idea about who you are, what the show is about, what the collection is about. I want to be able to connect with your vision. I want to be able to love your vision as much as you find it in your heart to do it. When you create these things, it's your baby. You're creating one of your babies on the catwalk, and I'm sure you want to be proud of it, but I don't see that sense of pride because people don't seem to nak communicate sangat about diorang punya design sangat. Diorang just kena fokus dekat how diorang nak kita sayang ataupun suka ataupun like look forward to diorang punya creation as a designer. Okay, I really hope I have covered a lot, or the things that I want to cover kepada korang semua, because most of the time bila Haida nak buat video balik, I actually ended up having to redo this video all over again. because I'm literally just sitting here in a santai position talking to you guys about my commentary and what I think that I've seen during the showcase lah. I hope I'm being fair, and I hope that whoever yang terasa ke or rasa macam I'm directing things to them, I'm not being malicious. My intention sebenarnya to just highlight things yang perlu di-highlightkan. If you think that it should be corrected, then alhamdulillah, I guess my point come across. But if you think that, I'm going to just not, ignore this and really kind of do my own thing, it's up to you too. Because your friends are always going to support you. They're always going to say nice things about you. I'm going to say things in a nicer way, because I don't believe they're bad designers. I just think that their designers will probably shift their focus away from things. Designers yang probably tak sedar that they're not doing the right thing ke apa ke semua. That's just my role, like you can listen to me or not listen to me, up to you guys. So thank you for listening to me. And yeah, thank you for bearing with this face. I actually put a filter on sebab I baru habis a facial peeling procedure. Not a good look, so that's why I have to apply this situation on my face. But thank you guys lah for staying by, and I hope korang tak bosan lah dengar I punya celoteh ni. And take care and see you guys on the next one lah.